Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, ma ba'd. Today, inshallah, we will discuss something called Istihadah. تاسو کورسي کې ممکن استه شي So Istihadah, during the course I have said additional bleeding or any bleeding which we cannot call it menstruation, or we did discuss last time something called nifas, post-birth bleeding. We can put that aside. Istihadah is anything other than haid. Any bleeding which does not fit into the category of menstruation. Okay? So what is that bleeding? It may look like menstruation bleeding, but it is not. Why is it not? For example, a woman had her menstruation. When that menstruation stopped, she did ghusl. Now she must start praying. There must be, this is the clean period. The clean period has to be minimum 15 days in all madhahib, except in Hanbali madhab they say minimum 13 days. The clean period, so the menstruation is followed by a clean period. In that period she must fast and she must observe salah and so on. And it is impossible to have haid, menstruation, in that period. So, what if she sees that blood during the clean period, for example? Then that's istihadah. That can be bleeding due to an injury or internal bleeding from a vein. It is not menstrual bleeding. Making sense? I'll give you an example. For example, we said the earliest age a girl can have menstruation is 9 years old. She cannot have menstruation before that, legally. Medically she may be able to, but legally the rulings of menstruation don't apply until she is 9 years old Islamically. So what if she is bleeding before that age? That would be considered istihadah. Most of the scholars, except Maliki scholars, most of the scholars of all madhahib, they say a woman who is pregnant cannot have menstruation. So if she is bleeding during the pregnancy, so what is that bleeding? It's not menstruation. So that's istihadah. That's istihadah. That's an additional bleeding. The ruling of that bleeding is like someone's nose is bleeding, or someone's got a problem with bladder, where a drop of urine comes out all the time. So, what does that person do? That person has to do wudu for each salah. If someone has bleeding which does not stop, you just do, or has a bladder problem, always having a bladder issue where urine doesn't really stop, has no control on urine, or someone has a gas issue, the wind passes all the time without any control on it. These people, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to do wudu. When the time of salah enters, they do wudu. Now, up to the next salah time, if they have a problem with, let's say, urine, as long as the urine is continuing but they haven't done anything else to break the wudu, their wudu is okay. Yeah? Let's say a woman, she has a problem with bleeding. She bleeds all the time. So the time of Asr entered and she did wudu. Her wudu is now valid till Maghrib, as long as she doesn't do anything else to break the wudu. For example, passing wind. That would break the wudu, but she's excused for that problem which is uncontrollable. Or if it's a man, got problem with urine or passing wind, these people are excused. They'll do one wudu when the time starts, and for that excuse only, up to the next salah time starts, they can continue as if they are in wudu. They can pray, they can read Quran, they can do everything. But if they did something which is not an excuse for them, someone who has a problem with passing wind goes for urine, they have to do wudu again. Someone has a problem with urine, passes wind, has to do wudu again. Anything which breaks wudu, invalidates wudu, will invalidate wudu. Except a person who has a condition where they uncontrollably, they have no control. Without any control, they break, they either have passing wind or urine drops or bleeding and so on. So istihadah is a woman. She bleeds without any control, but that bleeding is not menstruation. So we know during menstruation she's not allowed to pray salah. She's not allowed to fast. She can't have a relationship with her husband, as in like intimate relationship. Now, when it is istihadah is treated like, let's say, a nosebleed. She still has to pray, she still has, everything is allowed for her like she had no bleeding. Except that she has to do wudu for every salah. For example, I done wudu now for Asr, and Maghrib is about to start. When Maghrib starts and Maghrib enters, my wudu is okay, I don't have to do wudu again. But someone who has istihadah or a similar problem, they will have to do wudu for each salah. So the fact that they are invalidating wudu all the time, they are excused for the time of one salah. By doing one wudu, they are excused. We can't expect them to pray 2 rakats, then do another wudu, pray another 2 rakats, then do another wudu. No. As long as they've done one, until the next time the salah starts, this in general, this is how it works. Clear?